Hey, welcome to the Pain Points podcast. I'm your host, Christian, and this week we're going to talk about the entrepreneur equation. So, I re listened to, I don't know if you're on Audible, but I've re listened to a book called The Entrepreneur Equation. It's a book by Carol Roth, and it's a really interesting book. A lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, a lot of other podcasts, they always tout the E Myth as the must read book when you're starting your business. And I've read the E Myth revisited. I listened to it on Audible as well. But I almost feel like the Entrepreneur Equation by Carol Roth. It's more of a litmus test when it comes to running your business or planning on starting a painting business. Now, she speaks about industry and just about business in general. She's not construction specific in it. But at the end of the day, the point that she's trying to make is just because you can open a business doesn't mean that you necessarily should open a business. And she goes through some statistics throughout the book and really does a great job in doing a deep dive. But in this landscape that we're in post-COVID, things are a little bit different, maybe not. But the statistics that she used definitely weren't updated for what we're dealing with today. So I'm just gonna go through some of the statistics that are out there for all industries, just employment in the U.S. And this is by Forbes.com that I pulled this information. And it says that a lot of times we're hearing, scale your business, and it's frustrating. I know for me, it's frustrating that I feel like I'm missing something. What is that thing that I'm missing, and why is this so hard? You just listen to books or read books or listen to podcasts or have a mentor or talk to people in the industry who have done it, and if you just got to work on your business, not in your business, and you feel like you're doing those things at times, or maybe you don't know what those things are. But just keep in mind some of these statistics. One of them is that it's that 16% of small businesses now, according to the U.S., a small business is any business that has less than 500 employees. So for you and me, the solopreneur, that seems like a lot. And there's nothing small about a business. But when it comes to the actual definition of a small business, it's any business that's under 500 employees. It makes me feel like a microscopic business when you put it into terms like that. But just 16% of those businesses have, of all U.S. businesses, there's 33 million small businesses in the U.S., and just 16% of them have more than 2 employees. Now, only 2% of them have 20 to that cap at 499, more than 20 employees, only 16%. So just kind of putting into perspective, you're not doing anything wrong. You're on the right path if you're listening to this. You're thinking out of the box instead of wanting to do the same thing over and over. That's a definition of insanity. We all know that. But just know that this is not an easy road to climb. Otherwise, these numbers would be much more significant. Just 16% of small businesses have more than 2 employees, and 2% of small businesses have more than 20 employees. So those are things that we're dealing against. Nearly 1 out of 3 businesses still don't have a website, even though 25% of business is conducted online. So that's That's another interesting stat that it kind of goes back and forth, but it also maybe just points to the opportunity that you have. Talking about the painting contractors, maybe it's more than 1 in 3 that don't have an operable, up-to-date website in their going on, and that's a way to capitalize in your market. And then there's that old statistic that everyone talks about, and they say that half of businesses, all businesses fail. But the way that statistic actually works is 1 in 5 businesses will fail within the first year. 30% will fail in their second year, and half of small businesses will fail by year 5. The reason for that, the number one reason this article stated, was they didn't do proper market research. Now, again, this is talking about all industries across the board, not just construction or painting industry. Right now, we obviously see that there's a boom, but maybe some of these businesses, a lot of these businesses that they're talking about, are some niche product or niche service that someone just said, hey, that's a great idea, and spent their money to go ahead and open, and it failed within these time periods. So just keep that in mind as well. And one other thing that I saw was over the last year. So this article was written in December of 2022. So it said over the prior year, from March 2020 to March 2021, there was 1.1 new small businesses that were opened. What's staggering about that statistic is overall growth was only 180,000. That means that there were over 900,000 small businesses that failed within that same time period, from March 2020 to March 2021. Over 900,000 small businesses closed their doors. So this is an uphill battle. And in this book, The Entrepreneur Equation, she one of her taglines was, just because you can go into business doesn't mean you should, like I said before. And that kind of makes you think maybe she's against small business, but she really isn't. Her point that she's trying to make is that small business has the potential to create growth in jobs and make America better in GDP, or gross domestic product, but only if those businesses succeed. So what are some things that we can do to succeed? Well, one thing when we're starting our business is to calculate risk, and calculate risk properly. And at the end of the day, that's what the entrepreneur equation is. In one column, on one side of the equation, you have all of the things that you're going to gain from running a small business, from running a painting company. And then on the other side of the equation, you're going to have all the things that you're going to risk. And for everybody, that equation is going to look different, because the things that I would have to sacrifice are different from what you'd have to sacrifice, and what I think that I have to gain are going to be different from the things that you feel that you have to gain. Even if those things are identical, the weight that they hold in my life versus your life, I know me, when I was single, I probably could write out that entrepreneur equation much different than I can now with 2 kids and a wife and a home and all the things that go with that. You know, our assessment for risk is much different at that point. So it's really, really important to be honest. And this is long before you start figuring out what your company name is, what your company logo is, all the thing, what equipment you're going to get. Like, think about these things, because at the end of the day, on average, the average salary of a small business owner is only 3% above the annual mean wage in the U.S. Mean is just another word for average. And again, this is all information from Forbes.com. But it said that the average salary of a business owner is only 3% above the average, the annual mean wage in the U.S. That means that it's only a difference of, based on these current numbers, that's only an additional $2,000 per year. And what's crazy is that hourly earnings in this time period from March 2020 to March 2021, that the hourly earnings for employees has gone up over 5%. So the wages for an owner has not gone up as quickly as the wages of an employee. Now, she talks about in this book some other things to think about. Like she gave an example of somebody who was wanting to run a sub shop, make sandwiches. Would they be better off just running into a franchise model and opening it up, only to find out that maybe they didn't like it? Maybe there were things that they didn't agree with that franchise model by not doing enough research? Or would they be better served, especially given the fact that they're not going to be making that much money to start off with than they would being an employee? What if they went in for a year to work in the business? This is completely different. To work in the business, in the sub shop, to find out, is this even something that's viable for them? Is this something that they're wanting to truly pursue? I think we can really relate that to the painting industry, that a lot, the typical painting business owner, or the commonality of this is that we work for someone, we think that they're doing something wrong, or they're not doing it the way we would do it, or we get frustrated with them, and we just say, as long as I'm making more money on a daily basis than I was, I'm going to go ahead and do this off on my own. But then we start realizing all the stress that goes along with it, with planning and the ebbs and flow of our cash flow, or the ebbs and flow of sales. And then now we have to start doing marketing and all those back office things that we honestly can take for granted from, working for someone else. Or would we be better served working for another company that is established, a company that's growing, a company that has these systems in place, or being part of a company like that they can then, you can learn, for lack of a better term, on their dime, still earning an income, maybe not as great as the income as you would have risking it all, but at least you learn the ropes and learn all of the things or some of the things that you would need to know. But again, the book is called The Entrepreneur Equation. It's by Carol Roth. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested. I listened to it on Amazon. I listened to it several times. And it's a fantastic book. I highly recommend for anyone to listen to it, and just share your thoughts. Hit me up on Instagram at the Paint Professor, and on a DM or something like that. Just let me know what your thoughts are, if you've read this book, what you think about it, and what you think about maybe just because you can run a business doesn't necessarily mean you should run a business. So thanks, guys. Have a good day.